Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest edition of Notebook. We appreciate you joining us today for today's show. And Notebook is a show where we connect you with community officials, district personnel, and other organizations from around the Treasure Coast. And we are so glad that you're with us today. We have a very special guest, my dear friend and a man that everyone in this area is very familiar with, is Dr. Kevin G. Perry, who is here. And thank you for being with us today. And we're excited to hear about the various events that are going to be happening with the Martin Luther King commemoration. And this is always a big time of celebration for the school district and our community and around the globe. And just appreciate you being here to share some information about what's coming up in various events soon.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Jane.
Thank you.
And it's great to be able to inform our community that even in this pandemic, there's still some activities that will be occurring to celebrate the unity that was espoused by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Right, and that COVID has not slowed us down.
No.
So still great things happening. So the thing that I always love to have our viewers do is to share a little bit about themselves. We were talking about this before the show. And just tell us, you've been in the district for a few years.
Time, Jane.
And but tell us a little bit about your professional journey and how you came to the position that you're in, serving as the assistant to the superintendent in the district.
I have actually been in the school district for over 30 years. I'm a graduate of Bethune-Cookman College in Daytona Beach, Florida, with a master's degree from the University of Illinois and my doctorate degree from Florida Atlantic University. When I first moved here, I was the band and choir director at Fort Pierce Westwood High School. Once a Panther, always a Panther. Yep. And I became the teacher of the year, just like you, for the district. And then I went on a special assignment, recruiting teachers and doing some training at what we knew at that time as TEC, Teacher Education Center. And then I had the wonderful opportunity of becoming the assistant principal at Francis K. Sweet Elementary School with Jerry McPherson. And from there, I was selected to be the founding principal of Fort Pierce Magnet School of the Arts, now known as CAS, the Creative Arts Academy of St. Lucie. And from there, Mr. Lannon, who was our superintendent at that time, tapped me to come and work over here as a supervisor for principals. And the role kind of evolved through some things, and knowing that we needed a person that could better keep us connected too, because there were so many community agencies that we are partners with, that we collaborate with, that always need to have our voice and our face represented there, and I assist the superintendent in doing that as well.
Right. You're a very busy guy.
Very busy guy. This is a very busy
always
time.
On the run. Yep.
Yes.
And in fact, as you speak of the Teacher of the Year, you know, that's coming up here very soon.
Oh,
and you
yes.
oversee all of that.
All of that.
Very busy taping and working with the selected teachers this year already and getting ready for that big event. So he's a man that never stops.
Yep.
So, yeah, and never sleeps.
Sleep is overrated, right?
Yeah. That's great. Well, we know that January, you know, when we come to the month of January, and it's a month to celebrate all the accomplishments of Martin Luther King. And, you know, like we said before, you know, even though we are in this very unusual year with COVID, that hasn't stopped us being able to bring together opportunities for the community to really come together and celebrate his life and his impact on our community, our state, our nation. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your role as preparing, because this is something, as soon as last year was over, you began preparing for the next year. And just to also kind of go back to the COVID piece, it looks very different this year than it has in the past.
It does.
And you know, we aren't going to be able to celebrate with the parade. That's always a huge event for Fort Pierce and St. Lucie County. And but there are some great things that are going to be happening, and I know you're part of those preparations. So share with us just kind of what your role is as far as bringing together the community with these various events.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, part of my responsibilities is helping to keep us connected to many of our community partners. And St. Lucie Public Schools, since its conception of the Martin Luther King Commemorative Committee, has been a strong partner with the committee. And I am, in essence, the liaison between the school district and the committee, because we participate in a lot of those activities.
Right.
We know that prime space is needed to help some of these opportunities. We know the committee also gives scholarships back. So just keeping us connected. So everything that the Martin Luther King Committee does that may involve St. Lucie Public Schools, I am their conduit.
Right, great. And it's always fun because the schools are so involved in this week of events that I remember when I was back in the schools, you know, we were ready to get that theme as soon as, you know, as soon as it was available, because everyone wanted to start working on their floats for the parade. And it's a great opportunity to bring the whole school community together, because the kids get to be a part of that. But it's okay that it's going to look a little different this year, because it's still an opportunity for the students to really celebrate him.
Well, even with it looking different, it gives us all an opportunity to learn and grow. We're in a world where technology is heavily used, and now we're learning to employ some technology in a different aspect to help continue to move Martin Luther King's Jr. dream, keep it alive, keep it alive.
Right, and maybe even reach other people that we would not have been able to,
exactly,
you know, face to face.
Correct.
In even a normal situation. So true. So every year has a theme, and just can you share with us what the theme is for this year?
One people, one nation, one dream.
Yeah.
Very appropriate at this time.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah.
Sure is.
We may be different, but we're still one. We're still one.
Amen.
And when we think about Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, it should be a dream for all of us: peace and unity for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. So one nation, we come together. One people, one nation, one dream.
Right. Perfect timing.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually had a chance to see his monument in Washington, D.C. last year, and it was breathtaking. And to be there at night with the lights shining on it, it was amazing.
Well, Jane, now, I can't let you get away with that without me saying, Martin Luther King, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Yep. Martin Luther King's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. And we spearheaded that project to build that monument. And it is breathtaking when the lights hit it at night and you're looking up and he's coming out of that mountain of hope. It's awesome, yes.
Yeah. And you knew it was so symbolic of his message, and it couldn't have been done any better. I mean, it just beautiful,
breathtaking.
It really is. And if you haven't had a chance, you know, as a viewer to see that, you definitely don't want to miss it if you ever make it to DC.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's as amazing as seeing the changing of the guards.
Yeah.
Very solemn, very dignified.
Yeah. And people were very quiet. It was very surreal when, you know, and it was full of people. But very much like the changing of the guard, like you said, you're taking in the moment.
Automatically causes you to reflect, to think, ponder.
Yeah, so true. So let's move forward with our events.
Okay.
There are a lot to share, and it's always a great week, because that week of kindness and the various things that the committee always puts together is awesome, and bringing the community together. So share with us the various events that are going to be happening this year.
I can do that.
Just take us through it.
So, Jane, we have 7 events that will occur over 10 days. 10 days. It starts January the 8th, tomorrow, and ends on January the 18th, really, which would be the Grand Parade Day, but it's really the national holiday for Martin Luther King and that day of service. So tomorrow night at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and this is the virtual activities. And let me point out that most of these activities are virtual activities. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated has always sponsored the opening ceremony, and that will be tomorrow at 8 o'clock. It's virtual, but it will be basically housed through Cobra Guard at the IRSC. IRSC is a major partner, just like St. Lucie Public Schools, with this committee as well. Then the Week of Kindness that you mentioned is actually January 8 through 15, sponsored by the Charmettes. all schools, all churches, organizations, family and friends. This is just the week when the Charmettes are advising us to be kind to one another, to step up and do kind acts from one another. You have a friend that may drink coffee and you know it, you surprise them with some coffee on their desk, just to offer them a smile. We don't walk by each other and not speak. It's always something. Just go out of your way just to show some kindness during this time, and you'll be surprised how it actually carries over in everything we do. Wonderful organization, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, always has activities for our youth. Youth symposiums that talks about careers, different kinds of workshops, dealing with college readiness. They are still doing the youth symposium, virtual of course, on January the 9th from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then we move to virtual trivia. This is going to be really cool. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated on January the 15th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, again virtual, doing virtual trivia. If you remember the spelling bee, it was sponsored by Zeta Phi Beta.
Right.
But this year, because of the pandemic, because of COVID, getting kids up on stage and rehearse, they're doing virtual trivia. So you can get a school team together, your church team, you can get a team here from the district office and play virtual trivia that night about different kinds of facts. So that looks like it's going to be fun. There will be a Candlelight March, which is a candlelight solemn vigil that is sponsored by Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity on January the 11th, and it starts at the Lincoln Theater on Avenue D, somewhere around the 1000 block, I'm guessing, but I know I'm really close, real close. And the awards breakfast at RSC, sponsored by Sigma Gamma Rho on the 16th. At 10 o'clock that morning. And then my fraternity, which is Martin Luther King's fraternity, we will do a wreath laying ceremony. And in the past, the wreath laying ceremony has always been at Dreamland Park because the parade passes right by Dreamland Park. For those that may not know, on 25th Street, where the Popeyes is, used to be an old Walgreens there, right past that's Dreamland Park. So if you're ever there and you see a wreath hanging, it's the wreath that we lay in honor of Martin Luther King, promoting unity and diversity in that park during this time as well. It's going to be a virtual wreath laying this year. We will go to the park though and actually put the wreath that we put out there on the tree during that time, but the ceremony that you could visit or see will actually be virtual. And those are actually the 7 activities over those 8 days, ending of course on the 18th, which is the national holiday that is known as the Day of Service that's being promoted.
That's a lot of events.
A lot of events.
Still, I mean, that's awesome. And to bring all those groups together and just the great work that all the fraternities and sororities do in our community. And I mean, it's amazing.
Jane,
I love their work.
You mentioned earlier how it's virtual, and I did too this year. But the cool part about it, you also said maybe reach some people that we haven't had an opportunity to reach. So maybe in the future, even though we may be quote unquote live, we can still have a virtual aspect so that someone else can still tune in that could not get out of the house for whatever reason during that time.
And speaking of the sororities and fraternities too, they support this, but a lot of people in the community may not be aware that a lot of the money from these events actually support scholarships for various students. And I know your fraternity is part of that. Can you just share a little bit more about that?
Yes, part of all of our mission, we call ourselves the D9, it's 9 organization, is that we support education and the plight for education. So we offer scholarships to students at the end of every year. Cool part about it is most of us are connected with, again, St. Lucie Public Schools, who publishes it used to be the Green Book, the scholarship book. It's online now, but you'll find us listed on the scholarship listing through the Ed Foundation. So you can actually fill out that one application through the Ed Foundation, but decide where you may want it, applications that you may want to specifically apply for. And of course, Alpha Phi Alpha will be there. And many of the other organizations will be there as well for you to apply. So it's like one-stop shopping.
Yeah, because that was one thing that I was going to ask you is if somebody was interested in applying for that, how they would go about it. So
Ed Foundation, connect with the Ed Foundation. The scholarship is online. And then those persons that apply for our scholarship comes to our committees that have to review that kind of thing. But yes, again, it's part of that partnership. Martin Luther King with St. Lucie Public Schools and the other organizations that are part of Martin Luther King connecting to St. Lucie Public Schools. I like to tell everybody that we work with a lot of youth, but those same youth that we work with in our other organizations are actually St. Lucie County students. So your kids are our kids and our kids are your kids. So we're all pitching in together to make it work for our children.
Right, and it's amazing to see just the legacy that he has left behind and how his touch just continues to reach every kid, really, truly in this nation, and especially in our community that we get to celebrate what he's done, you know, in just his short life. He was very young.
Very young.
Yeah.
Very young.
So, well, we appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with us. Can we go through the dates and the events one more time?
Of course.
Just in case somebody might have missed it or, you know, jumped on the show a little bit late, but share each event and the sorority or fraternity that supports it as well.
Okay, opening ceremony tomorrow at 6 o'clock, sponsored by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. If you remember that name, you can go on their Facebook page and it'll be there. And most of these activities can be accessed by going to the organization's Facebook page. Okay. The Week of Kindness, sponsored by the Charmette, starts January the 8th through 15th. Please just reach out and be kind to one another. Youth Symposium, going to be a great morning for all of our youth, January 9th. Sponsored by Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I'm really excited about virtual trivia, sponsored by Zeta Phi Beta, on January the 15th. And the Candlelight Vigil March, January 11th. It starts at the Lincoln Theater, sponsored by Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority is doing the awards breakfast, and that's always a great morning. At 10 o'clock on January the 16th. And the Wreath Laying by Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated at 1 o'clock. Virtual as well, usually at Dreamland Park on January the 16th.
Great.
And then, of course, the Day of Service on January the 18th, the national holiday.
Right, to celebrate. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I know this is a very busy time for you. I shouldn't say a very busy time because you're always busy, but thanks for taking time out of your schedule to come and share all of this information and just doing everything that you do. We just appreciate
it's my pleasure.
your work.
It's my pleasure. I think we have to always understand that what Martin Luther King preached, spoke about, this one people, one nation, one dream, which is this year's theme, is very important to how we all should actually live our lives.
Right, exactly. Well, thanks so much. Have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks for being with us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Notebook.